of Love 101 FM.
Welcome to the Morning Watch on Love 101 FM. I'm your host, Toussaint. A very special welcome to our listeners on love101.org, and if you're overseas and on the move, U.S. listeners can access us at 712-832-8001. And if you're in the UK, 0330-332-6541, or join us via the Love 101 FM app that can be downloaded from the Google Play Store or the Apple Store. You can also join us on Love 101 FM Facebook and YouTube Live. In the first watch today, identifying and affirming the power of the Christian vote. And in the second watch, celebrating Emancipendence, Part 1. For our social media question, we ask, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, rate on average the Emancipendence celebrations over the years. We're asking you to share your responses on our Love 101 FM Facebook page and YouTube channel, and also on WhatsApp 876-997-3125 using the hashtag The Morning Watch. We'll share your responses later on in the program. But before all of that, here's our quote.
All right, today's I quote says, "That which does not kill us makes us stronger."
Is it Bertrand?
Well, on my end, I'm seeing Frederick with a nice last
seen.
name. I can't pronounce right now.
That looks like a German name there.
Yeah.
Right. That which does not kill us makes us stronger.
Mhm.
Perhaps need to play You Make Me Stronger
Right.
sometime in the future. The first watch will be back after this break.
From me, I pick me what me eat and no waiter. So me know say Fosca ingrained in Jamaica. Hey, what's in a bag? Me know me not try.
Fosca, ingrained in Jamaica. Want $10,000 to spend this summer. What would you spend it on?
Something nice. I'd book our family dream vacation, theme park, or an all-inclusive.
I'd pay off my student loan and start my master's program.
I'd go shopping and get a whole new wardrobe.
They've got plans. What's yours? Use your NCB Visa credit card. Every 25,000 Jamaican dollars you spend is a chance to win $10,000. Something nice for the summer. Promotion ends September 14. Conditions apply. Authorized under Section 58.3 of the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Act of Jamaica.
It all comes down to this. The voices have inspired. The talent has amazed. Now it's time for the grand finale of Jamaica Gospel Star 2025. Live at the National Indoor Sports Center in Kingston this Sunday, August 3 at 8 p.m. Come witness the final showdown as the top gospel voices in the nation lift their praise and battle for the crown. Listen live on Love 101 FM as we will share the season's finale with you. That's Jamaica Gospel Star 2025, the season finale, Sunday, August 3 at 8 p.m. Live on the family station, Love 101.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Toussaint. Now, it is said that based on the latest population census, 69% of the Jamaicans identify as Christians or having an affiliation with the Christian religion. It seems more than any other election season that the votes of Christians are being called upon. The debate as to whether they should even be involved in voting and on what level has taken center stage. Well, to discuss this and other related issues, we have online Deacon Peter Espute, sociologist and Dean of Studies at St. Michael's College, as well as Mr. Byron Buckley, communications strategist and second vice president of ACCM. Good morning to you both.
Morning, Dallin.
How are you doing?
Great, I'm
Morning
well.
to you, listeners.
Great, good to have you both with us. Now, gentlemen, as I just said in the preamble, based on the findings of the last population census, 69% of our voting population are Christians or affiliated with the Christian religion. Now, whether that is so or not, what, in your view, are the major implications arising from that statistic? Beginning with you, Byron Buckley.
Yeah, welcome again. You know, we're coming off this forum we had on the weekend,
Certainly.
and Pastor Don Anderson shared as much as he could at the time of voting trends or lack of voting empirical data about voting trends for Christians. And what I came away with, is that the Christians aren't voting as Christians.
Are not voting as Christians.
As Christians.
What are they voting as?
It appears to me that the Christians don't put on a religious blinker, but that they go into the polling booth and vote just like any other voter about bread and butter issues. And I'm a little bit disappointed about that, because I think that our calling is a higher calling, and that we should really put on some blinkers and some lenses, I should say, filters rather than blinkers, filters, and look at some important issues, which we can talk about more later. Look at some important issues as to, do these things fit in with our spiritual outlook and some of the demands of Scripture in terms of how our leaders are supposed to be. I believe that Christians should do that. Along with the other bread and butter issues, they should put on those filters. And I don't think we consciously do that when we vote in Jamaica.
Interesting. Deacon Espute, your take on that?
Morning again, Dallin.
Yeah, morning.
Byron.
Morning.
Don Anderson also said on that forum on Sunday that he has not up to now paid much attention to this matter of Christians and voting.
Mm-hmm.
He told us that he does not ask any question in his polls to be able to link voting behavior with faith. And I was happy to hear him say that from now on he will do that. So we'll be able to track the Christian vote. But I think that it must also be obvious to the listeners and to you all that if there are 69% of the voters are Christians and only 30% of people are voting, large numbers of Christians are not voting.
Mm-hmm.
So if Byron is right that Christians are not voting Christian, I will say that Christians are not voting at all, because it's reasonable to assume that the pagans are voting. They are voting for their party. So that means that the
use the word pagans. I'm sorry, Deacon. Use the word pagan instead of non-Christians.
Well, okay, if you don't
I'm just
like
wondering why you
the
choose to use the word pagans.
The non-Christians, then, okay, the non-Christians are the ones that are determining who is elected, not the Christians. And so I appreciate the forum position on Sunday. If they're asking the question, the power of the Christian vote. If Christians turned out to vote, who would win? That's the question. And I appreciated the topic that the forum raised, and hope that Christians will indeed decide to vote. Dylan, you asked the question at the beginning, should Christians vote at all? And that, I think, is an operative question. A lot of Christians don't vote because they believe that you cannot support evil. And many people believe, quite correctly, I think, that the two political parties are evil. Why are they evil? They both have garrisons. They both have gunmen. We remember Bucky Marshall and there's Dudos and there's Zeeks. I mean, these dons that support political parties, the gangs, the one order, and the Klansman. People say, well, how can a Christian support a political party that has gunmen and gangs and this sort of thing, criminal gangs? And so people decide they're not voting. And so this is why I have been arguing now for the 30 years I've been writing for the Gleaner. I've been arguing that this business about apathy. Undoubtedly, there are a few people who lack pathos for voting. They don't care, or don't care, as we would say in Jamaica. But in my view, but Dan Anderson doesn't ask the question, so my view cannot be defended by data. But it's my view that many of the people who don't vote are Christians because they don't believe they can support evil. And therefore, the position that I took at the forum on Sunday is that Christians indeed cannot support evil. That's true. But Christians can support the lesser of two evils. And therefore, Christians who want to vote must look at the issues, look at the performance of the two parties, but not the public relations stuff that the two parties will tell you that they did.
Let me interject here. Could I interject here, Peter? So in case you're going to another sub point, the whole matter of evil, using scripture, shun the very appearance of evil.
That's the quote.
Right. How do you factor that into your idea? Well, what you're positing in terms of the lesser of two evils?
Well,
because it's shun the very appearance.
Yeah, in the study of ethics, or Christian ethics.
Yes.
Which we teach at our theological college and which UTC teaches next door, the same college you went to, Dylan.
Yes.
We recognize that possibly the approach that we need to take ethically is to support the lesser of two evils.
But why? When you say shun the very appearance of it?
Well,
why do you need to talk about lesser if it says shun the appearance?
We are not fundamentalists, and I don't believe you are either.
Yeah.
I'm just asking the question.
There's a hermeneutic involved in understanding that passage, Dylan.
Yes.
You know it and I know it. Let's not promote fundamentalism on the radio. If people followed your point, then no Christian should vote at all. That's not what the forum was saying. The forum is saying that Christians must vote, but they must vote for I am saying they must vote for the party that will build the kingdom the most.
Stick up in right there, Peter. Stick up in right there, Peter. We're up on a break, all right? We're right back.
Mama work hard, for real. She do the most to send me and my brother go school. So, the dream was always to go to university. Well, I fulfilled two dreams with one Jane Bank savings plan, you know. I further my education and I make mama proud.
Save so you can make the par, travel par, graduate like a star.
Stop wishing you could. With your Jane Bank savings, you absolutely can. Jane Bank will help you find a way.
Celebrate Emancipation Day at Redemption Fest, August 1, 3 to 10 p.m. at Emancipation Park. Come revel in our heritage with Jamaican food, music, dance, a craft village, and a children's village. There will be performances by Benji Myers, Dwight Richards, Kerry Sales, the Tivoli Dance Troupe, Short Bus, Oral Lawson, Kwame McPherson, the Charlestown Maroon Drummers, and the ICTD Junkuna Band. DJ Chubby Rock. MCs Birdseye and Christopher Johnny Daly. Admission free. Redemption Fest 2025 is brought to you by the Ministry of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport, the JCDC, and Emancipation Park.
welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. And this is the first watch. We are seeking to identify and also affirm the power of the Christian vote. In so doing, we have online Byron Buckley, communication strategist, second vice president of ACCM, and Deacon Peter Espiot, sociologist and dean of studies at St. Michael's College. Before the break, I think Peter was talking about this whole matter of the lesser of two evils.
I want to jump in there.
Before you jump in, no, Byron, I need to also include this in Peter's response. You mentioned lesser of two evils. There are those who are saying in Jamaican context, we need to remember that there are actually at least four registered parties. So we have other choices. Peter?
That's correct. I wish I knew what those other parties stood for, so that I could take that into account in my moral assessment. But I want to hear what Byron has to say. But just to conclude what I was saying before, the Christian must be honest and admit that the two parties are in fact evil. The two major parties before us are in fact supporters of criminality, and in the past have supported bogus voting, ballot stuffing. That has been prevented by arrangements in place, the Electoral Commission, and by election observers like CAFE. But we have to recognize that the Christian conscience must be sensitive on these matters. And let me pause here. Sorry, Byron. And I have more to say on the subject, but I'm sure you'll ask me.
Okay, Byron, your time.
Yes, so the point I wanted to make is that in addition to the strategy, the approach that Peter is advising Christian voters to take, the other point I want to make, which is why ACCM is interested in getting this thing out to the public, is that the church must be proactive and present an agenda or a charter to the political parties. The church must say, because remember, we have to start by influencing. So the church must start by saying, these are, let's use the scripture numerology. These are the 7 things. Let's use 7 for the time. We could use 10 commandments. Mm-hmm. These are the 7 things that we want and we are requiring, demanding from the next government. And let them say what their responses are. For example, there are some issues that the Christian community should be taking up. For example, and I want to shift your discussion. For example, the CCJ. Should Jamaica be linked from the Privy Council and go to the CCJ, which, by the way, has some serious flaws?
As every organization, every system.
Yeah, but I'm saying if you ask, what are the Christian issues going with it? We don't know. So we must put up a charter. We must say, these are the things we want our politicians to respond to. Keep the abortion law intact. Keep the buggery law intact. And other things. And let them respond to this. Then you can say, well, okay, yes, we're going with the lesser of the evils, but we're also going with the party who has responded in a certain way towards our issues. But that's not clear. The church is silent.
Yeah. Baron Buckley, you're quoted in a newspaper coming out of the same forum as saying it is time we flex our muscles and loose the bands of political affiliation. If that quote is accurate, what did you mean by that?
And that's precisely the point I was making a while ago. I'm saying that right now, as I started off, right now I think the Christian voters vote A, based on just party preference, and B, perhaps on bread and butter issues. I'm saying when it comes down to voting, don't just vote on party affiliation. Look at the issues. To use Peter's term, see who is the lesser of the evils. See which party is responding to the ethical and moral issues that we're putting on the table.
But if both are not, if both major parties are not responding, you have two other choices.
But before I go there, respond to what? We haven't put anything for them to respond to. No. Respond to what? What I'm saying, this is why I mentioned Sleeping Giant. The church has not articulated what it is that they want to require demand from politicians, whether it is the traditional party, the new parties, what is it? So I'm saying let's get off the back foot, stop being reactive, set out, and by the way, if it's not how they operate.
Be honest, the churches are not united. The churches do not speak with one voice. I mean, aside from having the Jamaica Council of Churches, Jamaica Association of Evangelicals, the Jamaica Full Cosmos, the Evangelical Alliance, they up to now, Christians have refused to sit at the table to even talk to each other, never mind join the same organization. So how can the Christians challenge the state when Christians don't even agree among themselves on certain matters? But I think your point you make is
nobody agrees on every matter, Peter.
This is true. This is true. And there is the Jamaica Umbrella Group of Churches that is an attempt to have everybody around the same table, and I appreciate that.
But it doesn't have to be unanimous, but it can be consensual.
Okay, so the point we're making, Dylan, is that there are issues which are clear. Byron is raising the matter of abortion, which is murder, and homosexuality, which is disorder. And any party that would support either of those things is to be shunned.
Yes.
But there are other issues. There are issues to do with the freedom of religion, issues to do with church schools being allowed to operate their schools free of interference. Yes. There was a time when the government came to the churches and said, "You have schools, we don't. Let us send some students to your school and we will give you some money." And they worked out a memorandum of understanding as how the power would be shared. All of a sudden, the government comes along and says they want more control over the church schools, without recognizing that there's an agreement in place, and that you have to negotiate if you want to change the agreement. You can't just unilaterally pass a new law and just change the whole thing like that. That is breaking down a historical relationship between the church and the state. And any government that wants to do that must be shunned. They're trying to limit prayer in schools. The government owns schools. If they want to limit prayer in their schools, they can do that. That's their privilege. But they can't tell a church school how much prayer they must have. That's out of order. And so Christians looking on can look at these issues and decide who is the lesser of two evils and who they wish to support.
Based on what you said a while ago, Peter, that sounds like the Christians should not vote for the ruling party now then.
That would be their decision if they are
there not other things about the opposition that we need to raise?
Prayer. Stokely, this is about prayer. This is
Dylan. Are there not other issues? Are there not other issues that opposition we need to raise as well?
Absolutely. How much time do you have?
Dylan, I don't know why you're putting on labels. We are raising issues.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying that what he said a while ago was the ruling party. But there are things at the opposition as well we need to highlight.
Yeah, man, but the things that Peter raised are beyond party, because he just said government broke rules. Any one of them can do that.
In fact,
so we're not tying to any particular.
In fact, I'm going back now to the whole matter of the 4 parties, registered parties, right? Are we looking at the other 2 seriously? Because if we're talking about lesser of 2 evils, we need to realize it's 4 we're talking about. Maybe.
I don't know what the other 2 are, and I am in politics and communication. I don't know what the other 2 are. That tells you something.
Well, I don't know.
But it must tell you something. I don't know. I don't know. 4 evils, Dylan.
Yes.
But I haven't heard on your station you saying what the other 2 parties stand for.
Oh yes, man. They have been interviewed on this station. Definitely. This program. Yeah, man.
Right.
Listen more carefully and you'll hear. Anyway.
All I can say, but Dylan, I can just help you out here. The ACCM, this is an announcement, plans to have a second forum and invite those two other parties we are talking about to the table.
Yes. I think that's only fair.
Yeah.
Right. What do we say in closing then, gentlemen, to the Christians out there who remain apathetic or are leaning towards that even more, even beyond this discussion? What do we say to them? Because there are persons who are saying, why vote? I mean, it doesn't make much of a difference.
In the Lord's Prayer, we pray, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. If God's will is to be done on earth as it is in heaven, then we have to have politicians in place who will pass laws to make God's will part of the fabric of Jamaican society. And therefore, it is a misreading of scripture for Christians to say that we cannot vote, we must not vote. It is an inherently Christian duty to vote.
But it's also a right not to vote, Peter.
Who's talking about right? I thought we were talking about Christian duty.
Me.
Of course, Christians have a right. Christians have a right to sin,
Your duty.
They have a right to go against God's will. You are absolutely right, Dylan.
Okay.
And Christians can go against God's will and choose not to vote. They are free to do that, and they can go to hell as a result. So don't talk about rights.
And they can vote and go to hell too.
Rights. Gay people say they have rights, and the abortion people have rights. So you on this rights thing now? I never knew you were in that business.
No, man, then you must look on rights, man, because it's all part of our duty to also acknowledge our rights.
I am saying Christians have a duty to vote because we have a duty to make God's kingdom come. And we have a duty to put in place politicians that will help God's kingdom to come. And therefore, Christians must vote. But who do you vote for? You must pray, use the gift of discernment from the Holy Spirit to decide which of the parties on offer, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 parties on offer, which of them, including independents, will bring God's kingdom nearer.
All right.
That is the Christian
Byron,
duty.
you have
and
the
they have
final
a
word.
right not to vote if they don't want to.
There we go. Yeah. Byron, you have the final word in less than a minute.
So my thing is about duty. I have said we're a silent, sleeping giant. We need to be more proactive, look at the issues, present the issues. When they come to talk, you present the issues out there and say, this is what I want to do. Will you do this? And vote deliberately on their response to the Christian issue that you put before them.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us. Have a safe and productive day. Listeners, the Morning Watch will return in just a moment.
Are you ready for something mega? Spend $6,500 or more before GCT. Drop your entry in the box and you can win a 2025 Hyundai Toussaint. It's the Mega Wheels Tour promotion. April 5th to September 28th. Second prize, a $50,000 shopping spree every month for a year. Third prize, a $30,000 shopping spree every month for a year. Brought to you by Hyundai, Webster, Heineken, True Milk, Grace, Walker's Wood, Downing, CPJ Daiquiri, and Carryburst Juice Concentrate. Only at Megamart. Locations island-wide. Megamart. Best value by far. Authorized under Section 58.3 of the Rating Gaming and Lotteries Act.
Jamaica and its workforce are advancing quickly. Life-changing opportunities are arising. You need training and support. We are the Renewed Heart NSTA Trust, committed to providing new and emerging skills training and opportunities. Come to Heart. We'll help you claim your place in the workforce of the future.
This Emancipation Day, experience a night of powerful praise and purpose. CC Winans brings her More Than This tour to Jamaica with Chevelle Franklin, Kevin Downswell, Prince Saj, John Mark Wigan, hosted by IT Ellis and Nadine Blair. Gates open 2 p.m., showtime 5 p.m. Tickets at select outlets island-wide or online at spuropen.com. Follow at More Than This Jamaica on Instagram for updates. CC Winans, More Than This concert with a call. Friday, August 1, Kings House East Lawns.
Start your journey with a JN Small Business Loan with small business loans as little as $10,000 and up to $4 million. The time by JN Small Business Loan is
7:30.
welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. Let's now look at the newspapers to see what Jamaicans and others are saying. In the Observer, Goshen Postal Agency restored through community effort. Also in the Observer, we got justice. Family of the murdered returning resident Delroy Walker still hurting, but satisfied killers have been punished. In the Gleaner, sections of Hanover under curfew, and the candidates urged to respect political paraphernalia amid claims of defacement. Those are some of the major stories in our newspapers. Coming up next, we read some of the feedback from our social media question. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, rate on average the Emancipendence celebrations over the years. We're asking you to leave a comment on our Facebook page and YouTube channel, Love 101 FM Jamaica, or WhatsApp 876-997-3125. We'll be right back.
Tiles and more tiles. It's the Totally Tiles sale event at Home and Things. Enjoy massive savings on new arrivals, plus weekly flash deals you don't want to miss. Save big on A-grade floor and wall tiles. Trendy designs, colors and sizes, we've got it all. Plus other items discounted store-wide. Catch the Totally Tiles sale event now on at Home and Things, Oswald Road and Constance Ring Road. Follow us at Home and Things JA on Instagram and TikTok for our flash deals weekly. Lots of tiles, lots of styles, lots of deals.
Attention seniors, great news! Your July 2025 social pension payment is here and ready for collection. Simply check your text messages to confirm your payment details. For more information, call 876-922-8013 or visit the ministry's website at www.mlss.gov.jm. The Social Pension Program, caring for our elderly. A message from the Ministry of Labor and Social Security, providing opportunity, stability, and social protection.
It all comes down to this. The voices have inspired. The talent has amazed. Now it's time for the grand finale of Jamaica Gospel Star 2025. Live at the National Indoor Sports Center in Kingston this Sunday, August 3 at 8 p.m. Come witness the final showdown as the top gospel voices in the nation lift their praise and battle for the crown. Listen live on Love 101 FM as we will share the season's finale with you. That's Jamaica Gospel Star 2025, the season finale, Sunday, August 3 at 8 p.m. Live on the family station, Love 101.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. Let's now join Jokal for a look at how our Facebook, YouTube, and WhatsApp friends answered today's question on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest. Rate on average the Emancipendence celebrations over the years. Jokal?
All right, so we have Cherry in Spanish Town. Cherry's giving it a 10. She says, once you understand what our culture is about, and the organizers, the Ministry of Culture, they really do their best each year to depict our culture in a way for us to appreciate and understand. So she gives it a 10.
Okay, all right. 10, okay. As we prepare to celebrate Emancipendence, in this part 1 of our discussion, we'll focus on the emancipation or freedom aspect of the celebrations. And to assist us in so doing, we have joining us Danae Peart, change maker, writer, cultural curator, media and business consultant, as well as host on Vibe 105 FM. We also have the Reverend Dr. Stephen Jennings, pastor of the Mona Circuit of Baptist Churches, and he's also a member of the Reparations Committee. Good morning to you both.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Yes, morning. Reverend Jennings, Dr. Jennings, not here now. You muted? Okay. We'll sort that out soon. Danny Peart, still with us?
Yes, I'm here. Are you hearing me?
Yes, hearing you. Good. Well, tomorrow is Emancipation Day.
Yes.
What does emancipation mean to you?
I've really battled with this for a while. Emancipation, I must say, is two things. Emancipation has to feel like emancipation, and it also is a legal or policy conversation, right? So as an individual, do I feel emancipated? In ways, as somebody living as a Jamaican in the diaspora, there is not as much connection to emancipation as we would like, but we do our best, especially in Toronto, we do our best to have connection through celebrations and events. Now, do we feel legally emancipated? That would mean looking at our books. That would mean looking at our constitution. That would mean looking at the ways in which policy impacts our freedoms. And so because of that, I would want to say it's mixed. My response to that is mixed.
I don't know if Reverend Jennings has joined us. Reverend Dr. Jennings? Okay, still not on. So you say your response is mixed. So to which side is it a greater view on your part?
I lean towards freedom, and I hope for freedoms. But I must say that, there are different things that hamper our decision making, from political decisions and political powers to, whether or not we can walk freely among others. And we see right now we're living in a time where a lot of things impact that, right? Whatever we're seeing happening with immigration and challenges with immigration. I'm a person who personally feels that the world should be borderless, and that we should be able to walk freely on this earth that God gave us. But that is not the reality of laws and rules, right? So that is why I say yes. I lean towards freedom, but I do know that there are things that impact that.
Okay. Reverend Dr. Jennings, with us? Not hearing you, sir, even though we've seen you. All right, something is happening there in that regard. Still with you then, Danny Peart. Can you just remind our listening and viewing audience of Emancipation Day? How did it become a reality, and why is it celebrated as a holiday from your perspective?
From my perspective, it's an important marker, more so than even independence, because we were coming out of the brutal slave trade. We were coming out of colonialism to an extent, and we were as people being allowed different things like adult suffrage and so on, followed after emancipation. So the crux of the matter is, persons who were once seen as chattel, seen as objects and ergo royal subjects, were then allowed to, walk a little bit more upright, to not be treated as chattel slaves, and to, start to chart their own course in life as humans, because we were treated as subhuman. So the idea that we were emancipated from that is very essential to, I think, our existence as Jamaicans. It is something that I think we should actually revisit to hammer in how essential that multi-year journey towards freedom is to our existence.
Yes, emancipation, how should it be celebrated? Because I think it was on and off for years.
Yeah.
Now we pretty much have it on the calendar. Seems to be a staple. But how, in your view, should Emancipation Day be really celebrated, if not?
So I think it depends on the scenario. So in Toronto, for example, we celebrate emancipation by doing what we call a freedom train ride. So we take over the subway system in Toronto, and leading up to midnight,
Who is we? Who is
the
we?
black Canadians, not just Jamaicans, black Canadians, go on the subway system. It's basically chartered for 2 hours leading up to midnight, and we go on the railway, and we call it the Freedom Train ride. And on that ride, we do readings from slave narratives. We do readings from those who were considered our heroes and so on what it means to be free. Of course, in the context of Canada, which was seen as Freedom North, a lot of people talk about the Underground Railroad. So it is symbolic that we then go on a train leading into Emancipation Day to do this. So that's one way that we commemorate it in this city. And as a person in the diaspora, it is something I try not to miss, because there's always a connection with community and communities, because emancipation was not just in the islands. Multiple blacks in North America and in the Caribbean can resonate and connect on emancipation. So that's how we do it here. In Jamaica, I've seen, from church services to gatherings in squares where, little performances and so on happen. Whatever that means to Jamaicans, I think maybe what should be explored is what is significant. How do we convey freedom in the Jamaican setting? Because I think it is very powerful and symbolic for us to do a Freedom Train ride where we have trains. Remember,
Right.
Jamaica to have
Jamaica
trains.
doesn't have any trains running at that level.
So you don't have that
Yeah.
context. So what in the context on the island represents freedom for you? And then that would actually make people come a little bit more into it and understand it. What does it mean to be free to the Jamaican living there with high prices and stress and all the crime that surrounds them and so on? What does freedom look like for them? And that is what you intertwine into the celebration.
Okay. I gather we now have online Reverend Dr. Stephen Jennings. Good morning.
Morning, Dr. Toussaint.
Yeah.
Morning, Mr.
Yes.
Morning, Dr. Jennings.
Yeah, good to have you with us. Of course, we're talking about emancipation celebrations tomorrow, and this is part one. Next week we look at another aspect. From your perspective, Dr. Jennings, are you pleased with how we have been celebrating emancipation over the years?
I would say that I'm grateful that we have restarted the celebration, and obviously there are things that can be improved. There was a time that it was not being celebrated in Jamaica, as you may know, because while it was celebrated after the actual first time of emancipation in 1834, by the time we became independent, they stopped doing it. And it was a group of churches that led the way to get that back on the national calendar. That, in fact, led to it coming back. So I'm grateful that it's back. I think we have to, as the Spirit was saying just now, figure out what are the things we celebrate. I think our blessing is also a curse, the fact that it's come so close to independence, that both things get merged in the popular mind. And they're two quite different things. And again, as she was saying, the emancipation is linked to a wider project of emancipation in many places in the Caribbean and other parts of the world we need to be a part of.
Yes, stick a pin right there, Reverend, upon a break. At the end of the break, we will be back to hear more.
The time by Grace Could Move is
7:45.
We've seen a lot of our customers make some good moves over the years. Whether it's sharing a hug with a friend you haven't seen in a long time or sharing a meal, Grace has been there. So let's keep making these moments together, because rest assured, every time you choose Grace, you know you're making a good move.
Always a good move when you're moving
and take it to 100. This summer we're turning up the love across Jamaica. It's the Double the Love Summer Tour with Love 101.
Everything a double.
Join us in 5 parishes for live broadcast of the Gospel Train and Youth Connection, plus community cook-offs, family sports, games, and good vibes from Portmore to St. Thomas, Manchester, Mobile, and Kingston.
I'm about to have a good day.
We're spreading faith, fun, and fellowship island-wide. And it all ends with a big back-to-school grand finale in Kingston. The Double the Love Summer Tour, powered by Love 101, the family station. Don't you miss it.
God made the universe, knows me by my name, so it's a good day. Baby in my arms, walking through the neighborhood.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. And this is the second watch. We are celebrating Emancipendence, Part 1, as we focus on emancipation, freedom. And in so doing, we have online Reverend Dr. Stephen Jennings, pastor of the Mona Circuit of Baptist Churches, and he's also a member of the Reparations Committee, as well as Danae Peart, change maker, writer, cultural creator, media and business consultant, and host of Vibe 105 FM. Before the break, Reverend Jennings, you're responding to the question if you are pleased with how Jamaica has been celebrating emancipation over the years.
Yes, thank you. I think we can improve in particular ways. I think we need to explore the link, for instance, in churches between the matter of freedom as a general concept and how that can be concretized in the everyday lives of people. People have said that freedom is not just an event, it's an ongoing process. And when we think of freedom, we tend to say freedom from sin. But the idea is, what does sin look like in the world, and what would freedom and salvation look like in the world? Those are the kinds of ways I think the church could explore, not just at the level of intellectual lectures, but at the level of concrete practices. And by church, I mean there are churches coming together, working, fleshing it out, and so on. So that it becomes something more meaningful to people. The national events are what they are. They tend to be cultural expressions. But I think the churches can do a bit more as well.
Yes. Danae Peart, still with us?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, how you respond to those who argue that as a people, I think we're alluding to that earlier. Emancipation is only in theory, but not in actuality, especially when issues of indebtedness and dependence on others come into the equation. What's your response to that?
Yeah, and I think that's why I started off being mixed on this issue, because we have to view independence and emancipation in a modern lens. What does freedom feel like? Remember where I started. What does freedom feel like, and what does it look like on the papers, on the books? Jamaica, for instance, has carried a consistent debt load that has held us back in many ways. Over the years, we've seen some amount of loosening up of that as we pay down these debts. But what about those who are right now globally fighting for reparations? The Caribbean is owed a major debt, and one of the ways that we could have accomplished this is debt forgiveness, so that we can free up the reins for people to have good, clear health, good, clear education, good, clear access to waterways and systems. But we stop at and we stop short on emancipation all the time, because You know, a lot of people don't want to talk about the slavery piece, but it is the slavery piece that got us here. It is the slavery piece that has held us back, and it's the slavery piece that through systems and structures of colonial systems and capitalist systems that have continued to hold us back. So until we are very clear that in the modern sense, freedom looks like ABC, we will continue to undersell what emancipation means. And that is a real concern for me. I think, you know, given that we're on a religious station, we should also talk about religious freedoms. Religious freedoms is very near and dear to me because I was raised Adventist, and I know the challenges around people identifying with different religions and being free and feeling free to relate to religion. And one of the things that the Jamaican Constitution outlines is that we must have the ability to practice our faith publicly and privately, and to have the ability to change our beliefs. So freedom is also a choice thing. So when we're fettered by the systems, when we are fettered by the interpretations or misinterpretations of law, we also run in the risk of not having that emancipation.
Interesting. Dr. Jennings, same type of question to you. Those who are saying that we probably should not have Emancipation Day being celebrated because we're not really emancipated in the true sense of the word. How do you respond to that, sir?
I would say that it always has been a double-edged sword. In the initial Emancipation Proclamation, while people were free from enslavement, they were forced to work for 4 more years at substandard wages in a thing they call apprenticeship in Jamaica specifically, whereas others had full freedom from the beginning of 1834. And part of that was to make sure that they extracted the wealth from the people who there was free labor they're about to lose. Emancipation never came without a price and without ambiguity. And that ambivalence that others have is because the project itself is a mixed project. It's not full freedom, contrary to the kind of rhetoric that you hear.
So,
it was always a partial
so
freedom.
we don't have full freedom now. I mean, we never
No,
did.
we never
did.
had. We
Okay.
never had. We never had.
Okay.
And we have succeeded despite, not because of the emancipation that we received. We have succeeded against the odds as a people. And I think every time we look at something, we have to compare. For instance, the debt we talk about. The debt now is half of what it used to be 10, 15, 20 years ago. That's progress.
Yes.
It's not what it should be, as Ms. Spears says, there's a loose thing, but it's progress. So that's what I mean, that emancipation is a work in progress. And I think part of what this season gives us the opportunity to do is to teach the history properly so that people know where we're coming from. Naturally, some people wouldn't know it, they weren't born then, they never grew in certain things. None of us here were here when emancipation was here. But we need to learn from the past so that in our present we can navigate a better future. That's what I think it means.
But it's for that same reason that I just mentioned, or reasons that some people are saying we should take this off the calendar. Because if we don't have full freedom, then all of this is a facade.
With respect to those people, Brother Ryland, I would say that if you take it off the calendar, then you forget completely where you're coming from. You have historical amnesia. And with that, therefore, you would be more susceptible than future generations. We're more susceptible to be manipulated, twisted, and to be made unfree again because they don't know where they're coming from. This kind of thing works in a way that helps us to remember where we're coming from. Nobody tells Jewish people in the Bible and elsewhere to forget where you're coming from. You're called to remember where you're coming from. One in Armenia was my father, and I was in Egypt in bondage, but the Lord set me free, and out of that, and that must be repeated every year. Every year a Passover. If they can do it and others do it, why can't we? Why should we forget it? We shouldn't forget it so that we never go back there, but we also go forward where we should go.
Yeah. You're a member of the Reparations Committee. How does that factor into the equation of the celebration, commemoration, looking back, looking forward, where we plan to go as a nation?
Well, the council has been seeking constantly, along with others, to have the measure of again justice for the free labor that was given, and all of what that meant, the inhumanity that attended it, and it's not just in terms of monetary compensation. It's in terms of social amelioration, changing society, in terms of community development, debt forgiveness. There's a whole heap of things we do, and we do it constantly. We don't need Emancipation Day only. It's going constantly. Right now, there's a petition to the king to ask whether there is a case to answer in this reparation thing, and that will be answered whenever that is the answer. But the point we're making is that it's an ongoing project. It's an ongoing process. It never is just about a one-time event, because these things are things that outlive generations, and we have to play our part in our time.
Yeah. Danny Peart, you are involved a lot with media. What are we doing enough, you say, in terms of informing the general public as the importance of emancipation and our history?
I would quickly say no. Media, like everybody else, falls into the trap of waiting until the week of independence and emancipation to do the conversations, to even do features. There's so much in the archives in Jamaica to bring forward throughout the year. There's so much in these conversations. Like, it's good to know that Reverend Dr. Jennings is on the reparations committee. Is that a consistent conversation in Jamaica? Do we know how important it is that we are a part of that conversation? Do we know the presentations that are being made globally to different governments, as well as bringing together bodies globally to have these conversations? This is where the media comes in. The media also comes in clarifying, having people on that can clarify for people why it is important. Because as Dr. Jennings alluded, those who fail to remember history are also most likely to repeat it. And so we don't want a repetition, and we can see different draconian practices that continue to persist globally that show us that we are not so far away from the instances where we can lose emancipation physically as well as policy-wise.
Yeah. Dr. Jennings, I think you'll have the final word in a less than a minute. What do we say to Jamaicans listening, at home and abroad, in terms of celebrating Emancipation Day tomorrow? I'm sorry, Emancipation Day tomorrow. Yeah.
I think we should celebrate it. I think we should first thank God for the freedom we have achieved. And I think we should repent of where we have ourselves become unfree, whether because of personal habits and things, or because of complicity in social ones. And I think we should, having repented, we should recommit or commit ourselves to the ongoing quest of freedom, not just for ourselves to do what we like, but to help others to be free to live lives of human flourishing for the glory of God and for the blessing of people. That's what I would say. Celebrate, confess, recommit, or commit.
Yeah. Well said, both of you. Thank you so much for joining us, and have a blessed day tomorrow, day of reflection and renewal.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah. Thank you, listeners, for being with us. For information or get copies of this program, call our production department at 876-968-959627. This has been The Morning Watch. Thanks to our producer, Kathy Gale, and our guests. Please join Mr. Stokely Marshall next week as he continues to look at the issues of the day. I'm Dylan Toussaint, reminding you to be purposeful, faithful, thankful, and of course, watchful as I return you to love in the morning.